I can't say enough for them. There's great people, and the most injustice thing ever happened to have their family. So give them all the support, will you? They got wonderful cattle and been in business a long time. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what your politics are, but I'll give Mr. Trump a big plus for it.
Thank you, Ellington, and thank you for the Hammond family to be here. We're going to go to work for him right now with lot 7649 coming from the Hammond Ranch. 83 head of the wing steers with a base weight of 585 pounds. Max for WVM Natural, located in Diamond, Oregon. 100% black and black white-faced cattle delivered on November 15th to the 30th, a 45-day wean. Here's the lead end of the steers from the Hammond family. Select back, wing back, Max, give it a roll.
Yeah, boy, great cattle, great people, guys. Here we go. November delivery on these great cattle now. All right, here we go down on the game here. Just get ready to that, buddy, man. 116, 1, 2. And 3 to here, 4 on 5, 6 on 7, 9 to 175, 2 and 3 and 3 4 on 5, $6 and $77, 9 and 80, now we get up 1, 81, not a minute, up 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and now we give it a 3 and 3 and 4 on 85, whoop 85 here, 4, 5, 85 only, 184, 85, what do they here? $84, now get 5, and about $186 here, 5, but I'm going to use 6 here, 85 bid, $86, here we go, and about 185 here, to get it, hold on, there we go, $186 here, to get it, $7, that's 7, and another 87, another one thing here, $7, $86 here, another one 7, and another 187, another one here, to get it, y'all 87, another one here, to get it, 7, another one here, 186, and now 7, I have all that, 187, all that, bucket 7. So you weigh around 186 and put them on, you bet, put them on, Ellington, put them on, number, look at it, 19, buyer number 19, good deal, thank you.
Well, there you have it, and there's not much else to say, but the Hammond Ranch calves sold there, the family that was done so wrong, and it just feels good when you see a wrong like that turn right, and to know that we've got a stud horse like Donald Trump making things right and leading us in the right direction, and for the good people of this country, I think most everybody's pretty excited about the direction that we're going in. But back here in the Texas Panhandle, back from the Western Video Market sale, I just want to say, and there's lots of ways to market your cattle and all over this country, and lots of ways to market them out west, but I tell you what, they sure do an impressive job there with Western Video Market. Everybody's very nice to get along with. Everybody gets along with each other. They don't have quite so many reps running around. They let well-established livestock auctions all over the western part of the United States rep cattle that they just have a hard time getting into their ring, but they still get to keep a hold of their customers, and they still have a tie-in with them. But it works really good the way they do it there. I enjoyed working there all week with everybody involved. You saw those Hammond Ranch calves sale. That was Ellington Peak, the gentleman that turned 90 years old. He's the patriarch of Western Video Market, and he also bought those calves on there. That's just kind of guy he is, and it was good to see that. He wanted to buy those calves to, in part, to show those people how much he thought of them, and that he supported them, and he did not shy away from telling everybody what good people they were and how they got railroaded on that whole deal. But just a lot of good people out there at Western Video Market. Had an opportunity to work with some really top auctioneers. You heard Max Oliveira there sell those cattle. You know how good he is. I don't think that before I went this week I was really fully aware of the talent of Rick Machado, the auctioneer there, and they should charge admission to go in and watch him sell. But anyway, look at the board for this Wednesday. August live cattle futures down $1.60 at 103.85. October was down $1.57 at 106.25. August feeder cattle down 245, and that's a lot better than it was during the meat of the day. It was down more than that at times, but ending the day with August feeder cattle at 149.40. October down $2.20 at 149.95. Your corn took another big hit on Wednesday. It was down 7.5 cents, ending the day at 153.25. And I tell you what, you get up there in the Corn Belt, and some of these elevator prices, they're having a hard time keeping them over $3. And it's tough sledding for these farmers out there. I know it's going to be cheap feed for your cattle feeders, but a lot of them are doing kind of a diversified thing where they do both, and maybe that's helping the market. I guarantee it helped at Bassett barbecue sale there in Bassett, Nebraska, because they just went crazy there. But going to walk that corn to town. But I tell you what, this yearling deal, with the exception of Bassett, Nebraska, is just not as hot as it was last holiday week. You know, right in there around the 4th, and it wasn't as good as it was Monday, and it wasn't as good as it was Tuesday, and it's not as good as it was 30 minutes ago. This yearling deal is just, some of these lots are starting to get full. They're moving a lot of cattle. There's a lot of cattle coming out of the Flint Hills right now. There's a lot of cattle, big yearling cattle moving all over. It's starting to plug some holes up. And the market was really counting on the board to be supportive this week. You know, it didn't bother anybody that we didn't see much support last week on the board because it was a holiday week and everything was going on. But I think most everybody thought that the cattle futures, both fats and feeders, would support the market because we had the sharply higher fat cattle last week at the end of the week and traded a mountain of them. And then also had all those high yearling sales, and those are being reported around, and everybody knows how good the cash market is, but there's no support at all from your futures market. Now I realize you got to also consider there's a lot of hedging pressure on the futures market, which that kind of keeps it under wraps, and both live cattle and feeder cattle. You look at these guys that are buying these cattle for fall delivery or maybe into next year. Yeah, they're hedging those things, and it is pressuring the market a little bit. But let's look at some other things. Your fat cattle, we haven't seen any significant trade yet, but we're starting to see a little trickle, and it's looking lower. Not as much lower as what we gained tail end of last week, but it's not looking like it's going to get back up there, and we figured that because of the way that the futures are. But around 1,500 head, which is nothing in Iowa, but still at 110 live and 174 to 175 dressed, at about 1,400 in Nebraska. That way, mostly 175 and 110. Nothing in the Southern Plains yet, and that will be what will establish the market. But Fed Cattle Exchange had a light run, and they did not get anything done on there either. But look at your box beef cutout values. Choice cuts up 12 cents at 207.44. Selects down $1.25 at 197.14. Slaughter's been real good, 359,000. You can't really test it against last week's holiday week, but compared to a year ago, it's 6,000 head larger. But look at some spot sales there. Your real-time index late on Wednesday sitting at 147.16. You figure that on an 800-pound steer. That's pretty good, but you know, you look at your August board, 149.40, and those things are pretty close to each other. But your biggest commodity market sale is OKC West in El Reno, Oklahoma. 10,500 head. You compare that to 2 weeks ago, and you see that those feeder cattle sold $1 to $5 higher. Calves were $4 to $6 higher on Tuesday. Another good sale, St. Joe Stockyards in St. Joe, Missouri, had 2,200 head there. My good friend Mike Frieden from Fawcett, Missouri, sold his steers on there. And if you remember, we took a picture of those there a month or so ago when I was up there, and we were a little bit off on our weights. Either that or some of this hot, sultry weather has sapped them a little bit. But those cattle were not quite as heavy coming in as what we thought, but 89 head of steers there, weighed 823 pounds in St. Joe at 154.85, and that's and those cattle were not program cattle, just commodity type cattle. But my goodness, Bassett, Nebraska had their big barbecue special there, 7,300 head, and the prices that they get there, it's just unimaginable for people that are down here in the mainstream feedlot areas of what farmer feeder orders will do when you come in there and your corn is cheap and there's lots of it. It's just, you know, they quoted 216 head of steers, weighed 871, bring 157.60. There was a jag of 928 pound steers, bring 155.35. You talk about the heavy 8-weight cattle. They had 1,150 head of 850 to 900 pound steers, averaging just under 880 at 153.95. And I don't know what behooves people to pay $15 to $20 a hundred more than a commodity's worth. I know they're the best cattle in the world. They're absolutely the best cattle in the world. But it's one thing when you're talking about roping horse or a dog, or maybe buying some cattle off some people that have been having some big struggles in their life and you want to help them out. But just giving these giant prices for these cattle, and I know they can read and write, but there's only one thing you do with those cattle. You're going to kill them and eat them. And it's just, I don't know how you back something up $50 a hundred. And if those cattle will work, there's got to be some plainer cattle somewhere that guys could get rich on. And I know they'll gain 5 pounds a day, but they won't gain 8. And I just don't know how in the world. I'm tickled for the guys that are selling them, and thank goodness, you know, I've had my head in the clouds all week here watching all these program cattle. I just don't know if there's enough programs for these fat cattle and enough people that want to pay a premium for that product to offset how many that we're getting in the programs. But that's just my opinion, and you know what they say about opinions. But you guys are going to be on your own for the rest of the week. They probably won't trade fat cattle until late Friday anyway, and I'll be back with another report at the beginning of next week. But got an invitation to judge the International Livestock Auctioneer Contest at the Calgary Stampede up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to head up there, and so we will talk to you guys next week.